In this tutorial, we will be scraping best fight odds and saving the fighter name and their best bet. As you can see, I have already scraped the data, and I am just talking about how I did it. The reason why I'm doing a CSV file for every fight is that if our bot crashes or if we somehow get banned, we don't lose all of our work. So we save a file for every match, and it is relatively easy to clean the data and put all of this into one file. We will start by kind of playing around with best fight odds and figuring out how this query works, because we want to query from 250 all the way to 300 or whatever the most current match is. So let's say we search for a match and we see that the first thing that pops up is UFC 300. If we click on it, we see that it has some kind of format, best fight odds, events, UFC 300, and then there's like some other trailing characters that we don't really care about. We are looking for a query that starts with our target format string. If we find a match, we save the link and break away. If we list through all of our anchor reference and we find nothing, we print out that, hey, we found no match for whatever this event. Otherwise, we driver get the link. So you kind of have to explore how the query works, and you kind of see that this is the pattern that happens. That you have bestfightodds.com search query equals UFC plus whatever the index is that you want for your UFC fight. After we have scraped the text, I initially wanted to get the name of the betting website, but I ended up not using it. The way I did it was I came over here and I clicked on this, and you kind of have to know some kind of understanding of how XPath syntax works. So you click on the text and you see that it is TH, table header, and there's actually all of these are table headers. And you want to go to the first one because you want to kind of travel up the XPath. So we see that TH is the last one, and then above that is TR, T head, and then we have table of the class odds table, and we see there's only one odds table, so that's what we're gonna go off of. So we want this select all elements, no matter where they are in the document, that are table with square bracket class that is odds table, and then inside that we want to travel downward and select all the elements that are the children of whatever that is. So that's how we ended up with this path. And as you can see, there's only one odds table. You can check in here that there is indeed only one odds table, and that there should be a whole bunch of table headers. Yeah, you can see that these are the table headers. If you click on it, you can see that they are the text that we want. They have the text that we want. And then we want to scrape the name of the fighters. So where did I put those? Okay, so you want to click on the top one because it's just easier to travel up. And we can see that it is the span class T-B-FCC. So that is what we have over here. And then above that, it should be the span. Let's see. Yeah, span class T-B-FCC. And above that, we have the A. We have the scope row. Yeah, above that, we have the scope row. And then we have TR, T body, not T head, because this is directly above it. So this is actually a sibling of this. And then we come up here, and then we get the odds table. And that's how we get this X path. If you click on it, you can see it has all the fighter names. So we run this code. We see that it is scraping the betting website and the fighter names. And we're kind of gonna we need to solve this one step at a time and kind of debug every step. So what I did is I made a loop for I in range 250 to 255. The final code down here, I actually went up to 301. And then we call driver, WebDriver Chrome, and call it driver. And then this is our query that we want to search for UFC between 250 to whatever index, final index is. We want to implicitly wait so it doesn't throw an error if our computer is lagging or if we get banned. Well, if we get banned, we kind of have to stop. And then you want to get all the links for the sites, because you see that all of these are actually links. Yeah, all of these are links. Yeah, they all have the A anchors. And then we are going to iterate through all of our links and then find the target events / UFC dash whatever thing, because that's how our event is gonna start with. Our link of interest is gonna start with that string. So we use format string, and then we use the curly braces to substitute whatever our I is in here. And then initially we have match as an empty string. So if we iterate through all the links and we have no match, we kind of just print out, hey, we did not find a match for whatever USC number it is. Otherwise, when we do find a link, we open up the page. Well, we use driver get page, and then we break from the loop. And then here we just scrape the names of the betting website. So we use driver to find elements by XPath. And then you kind of have to get good at like using this selection tool. And then we print it out to test our code to make sure it's working. Now we want to actually scrape the odds. Here, when I first scraped this and ran a loop, I started getting error because there's only one column. So let's just work with this one, UFC 260, because there's multiple columns. Okay, so to scrape the odds, we need to find the elements. Let's go with the top row because it's easier to just see where it actually comes from. And we have the class. We have the class td class but.sg, and that is going to be the last one. td but.sg, td but.sg, td but.sg. And this is actually a text, so we need to actually convert it to integer later. So that's why we have this line of code. So we find the element, and we can see that this is the element we want. Yeah, that's we want those numbers. Yeah, you can see it has the grid around all the elements that we want. So we have td class equals but-sg. So over here we have ampersand at class equals but-sg in square brackets, like this, and it belongs to td. Above it, this is directly above it, so it is sibling, so we ignore it. So we come here, and then we see tr is the parent. So we have tr over here is the parent of td, and above that we have t-body. T-head is above that, so it's a sibling, so we come across over here to table class Oz table. So we have / table square bracket at class Oz table, and that's how we get the bets list. To get the table rows, we have to look around the code to see how the table rows look differently. So this is a new row, and we see that it looks like this part right here we can use as our table row, it looks like this is the table row, and this is kind of like the column number. So we have a column number and we have row number, and then I don't know what this last part is. But if we look around some more, let's see. Table row. Table row. Yeah, so this is a different table. And we can see okay, so it looks like it's coming in pairs. The first fighter and then the second fighter. So we have 1 2 1 2. And the last 4 digits 2 18 4 9 2. So that might be some kind of event ID. So we're just going to look at, we're going to skip the first 4 characters and then use the rest of it to kind of be the row key. And we're going to see if that works. So I coded up a loop to print out the best square bracket J get attribute data dash li and drop the first 4 characters and then see what the rest of it looks like. And this looks like we should have groups of 4 with the same keys. And this is a different row, and this is a different row, and this is a different row. So we're gonna use this as the row key. And then we want to see the actual text that belongs to it. So okay, so before we got to this point, we're going to take a look at what bet actually looks like. Okay, so let's not split it yet. Okay, so this is what we're going to get from scraping the data. And then we want to cut off the \n and then whatever the triangle, or maybe we have an up and down arrow. So we're going to split it at the \n. And after we split it, we want the first part of the split, because then if you put in 2, you're going to get something else. So that's the first one. And then this should be the downward arrow or upward arrow, depending on what we have. We are able to scrape all the numbers, and as we traverse across the row, we take the text that we just got, this text right here, we convert it to an integer right here, and while we traverse across, if we find a larger number, we save it as the best. So we update best from starting with -9999, some arbitrary low number. And as we traverse across, we want to keep the highest number as we go across. Once we get to the end of the row, this will handle the last bet of the row. So elif bets of j, because that's the index, +1. So we check the next one, and we see if the attribute of data li, our key, is different from the current key. If that is true, then we automatically save the best, because this is the last one, and we can't compare it anymore. And then we reset best to -9999, so we can traverse our new row. But before we do that, we also want to update our key to the next row. Now, if this was the last bet on the page, we will actually throw an error. So above this, I have handle the last bet on the page. So if j equals length of the bet -1, we know we are on the last bet of the page. So we just automatically save it. And then since this runs, we won't get the out of error range down here. All right, so that's how this works. After we have scraped our odds, we want to save our data. So first we make a dictionary of fighter, and then fighter text. That's what we have over here. And then we have the best bet and the best text up here. You can also include the headers. That is the betting site, but I didn't bother to do that. So you have the data frame, and then you just save it as the UFC, whatever the I is, at CBS, and then we don't have index. So I'm going to run this for 250 to 255. And you can see the prompt up here that you have the 251 right here. That's I. And then you have UFC 251, and then whatever string you have at the end, which we don't really care about. We just care about the event, the UFC events. All right, and later on down here, you will see there were I found some errors. There was no match for UFC 280, and UFC 289 has missing data. So I just had to open it manually and fix it. So 280. Yeah, so it had this error, and then the way to fix it was okay. So the error came from fighter 12 to fighter 18 did not have any odds. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is missing. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 is also missing. So we just remove those, and that's how I fixed the error.